Hello everyone, my name is PolishLynx. This is everlasting summer and well, we are after the encounter with Juliana, a zombie probably, or something like that. Well, we probably will see what happened to her in some time. Alright, I described my encounter with the creature in detail to everyone. I can tell you one thing, science can't explain whatever's going on here at the moment. Science? It's outrageous devilry happening here. The hand of Satan. I wish we had a charge nearby to light the candle. Lena said nothing, resorting to quiet sobbing. I'd almost completely recovered and now I was able to think straight. Now it's perfectly clear that we have to get out of here. Well, I'm not really a scientist, let alone a paranormalist, but if I recall it correctly, all these demons and spirits are bound to a certain place. Therefore, if we get away from this place... Now that's an excellent solution! Masha grinned skeptically. I agree. I exclaimed, ignoring her. Yeah. Lena just gave a barely noticeable nod, so we probably are going to the old camp. That's at least my thought. So, it's all settled. I slammed my fist on the table and surged to my feet. Hold on, it's not like we all agreed on that. Why would he hesitate? I seriously wouldn't want a second encounter with a thing like that. Where will we go? Do you even realize how long will it take to reach the city on foot? Damn it, do you really think that nobody ever rides that road? A car, a bus, whatever, we'll get something eventually. I wouldn't be so sure. So we think that it's better to stay here. Well, he probably does think like that. Unfortunately. Well, I'd say I didn't say that. It's scary here, especially at night. Lena whispered quietly. That still doesn't mean that we have to go anywhere, said Masha out loud. I gave her a narrow look. No, something has surely changed in her. Perhaps I should have a gentle talk with her about it. Or perhaps I shouldn't. Maybe she's also... Okay, let's take a vote. I said that in quite a confident tone, yet I still had my doubts. What if Masha is right? Perhaps we shouldn't be running around aimlessly. On the one hand, I have no idea what awaits us beyond the gates of this camp. On the other hand, it's really all hell breaking loose here. Okay, she shrugged. And still, I won't stand for another minute here. Leaving. Staying. Let's try it. Maybe we'll indeed get lucky and catch a ride. Leaving. Everyone turned her eyes towards Lena. Well, so what? It will be 3-2. I don't want to stay here. It seems like my decision wasn't going to affect the outcome anyway. So, let's get going. Well, I sprang to my feet. Everyone else remains seated with their heads down. Since we decided... Masha got up slowly and looked at me. What about our stuff? Asked Alisa awkwardly. Do you really think that we should care now? Mumbled Ruther gloomily. Well, you're probably right. Well, in my case, my stuff has already vanished somewhere. Well, if you think about it even more now, maybe electronic has some tricky weapons or something that we could use. You know, maybe you could perform some, weapons for us and, help. That would be helpful. But probably not. In a few minutes we are standing at the bus stop. The city is that way. How do you know that? From what I remember, no one knew that actually, where the city was. Unfortunately. Well, maybe everyone knew, but not you. Masha gestured at the horizon. It was there the day before yesterday. I grinned. Yeah, that way, Ruther confirmed. We paused in silence for a few moments, and then slowly headed off towards our destination. But this is the road without the end, from what I remember. The summer sun was unbearably scorching, making the asphalt melt. Everything a few hundred feet away, the road, the trees, the grass, the sky, was melting in a bright heat haze that looked more like a burning fog. I was streaming with sweat and was starting to think that I was getting sunstroke. Sure, it would have been a great idea to bring some more water with us. But back when we were setting, only thing we could think of was getting our asses as far as possible from that damn camp. Eventually I felt like I was about to lose consciousness. Only the wretched thrills of the grasshoppers kept me in touch with reality. Of course, the hellish noon is indeed their favorite part of the day. They couldn't care less about the scorching heat, zero humidity, or the lack of any kind of air movement. On the contrary, they felt great. It was a perfect backdrop for the final act of their last apocalyptic symphony. We probably should have stayed in the camp after all. Or at least we should have started this hike later, closer to the evening. Although wandering the unknown country road at night is hardly a good idea either. The sound of a stifled cry came from behind me. 100 feet away, Alisa was barely holding up Lena, keeping her from collapsing to the ground. I dashed up to them. What's the matter? She's fainted. I helped to carry Lena to the roadside. There was at least some shade from a small grove. And that concludes our hike, sighed Masha in a gloomy mood, sinking down to the grass. I warned you. Fine, but what does it change now? We'd been traveling for at least a couple of hours, so thinking of heading back to the camp was pointless. Well, at least until the evening, when the heat will decrease a bit. And we still haven't seen a single car. I turned around and looked at Rudar. He pulled off his shirt and began to wring the sweat out of it. Alisa was trying to revive Lena. If that's sunstroke... Stop! She shouted at me. If that's indeed sunstroke, we've gotten ourselves in deep trouble. She won't make it anywhere. I walked towards the road, shielded my eyes from the sun with my hand and stared into distance. Nothing but the same asphalt tread leading beyond the horizon, with no signs of civilization, or any signs of human presence at all. It was like we were the only people left, not only in the camp, but in the whole world. So if you think about what has happened before, it's really not a big surprise. I went back to the others and sat down on the log. I guess we have to scout ahead. I looked at Rudar. To check what's ahead, maybe you could find something, and you just stay here for a while. But she can't go anywhere, right now anyway. Lena was lying with her eyes closed and gasping for air. Okay, go ahead, said Masha calmly. It just occurred to me that I planned to have a talk with her. But it's definitely not the time for that now. Let's go. Rudar shrugged his shoulders and followed me. We kept walking for about 15 minutes. The girls were left far behind. What do you think? Any chance of us meeting somebody? He asked quietly. I don't think it was a good idea to leave them behind. I don't know, I replied in an annoyed tone. I really wanted to refrain from talking now. The endless fields stretched the horizon, sparsely sprinkled with patches of trees and hills. The landscape looked so typical and tranquil that in fact it caused anxiety. If we'd found ourselves on the plains of hell, at least we would expect to be attacked from just anywhere, so we could brace ourselves and prepare for the worst. Now we felt just like little droplets of paint on the canvas of a nameless painter who paints the summer in Central Russia, or wherever we are now. All this only made our fear stronger. Look! Yelled Rudar. I narrowed my eyes and saw that the road took a turn. So, what's so special? There must be something there. What makes you think that? Well, since there's a turn, we've been walking straight forward all the time and now. Okay, let's go and take a look. What the... In a few minutes we finally came. To the gates of the Sovyonok pioneer camp. I closed down the curb and buried my face in my hands. I didn't feel scared. In fact, I didn't feel any emotions at all, just the fatigue and the void inside of me. But how? Mumbled Ruther. No idea. Besides, what's the difference anyway? It's not like this is any stranger than anything else that's happened to me in the last few days. I looked up at him, feeling exhausted. Ruther's lips were trembling, an expression of deadly horror was plastered on his face. Let's go back and fetch the girls. I didn't wait for him and just shuffled off back to where we left them. Found anything? Found anything? Asked Masha, chewing on some strawberries of uncertain origin. We did. A camp. What camp? She looked surprised. Our camp. What? Masha looked so silly now, so I couldn't help flashing an ironic smile. But you are going forward, not backward. Forward, and Sovyonok is there. Hey, stop joking! She exclaimed. I'm dead serious. But? Said Alisa quietly. She was sitting down on the grass and cradling the head of Elena, who was still sleeping. Yeah, just like that. I said tiredly and dropped down to the ground. Okay, it means we're heading there. I looked at Masha keenly, and suddenly realized that I can't wait anymore. Hey, what's happening with you? What do you mean? Her look screamed that now isn't the time for breeze each other. You were scared to death yesterday, yet today you have "this happens to me all the time" attitude. But what's the point in panicking? She cracked a barely visible smile. If I didn't know you... I went quiet, but my lip bit my lip and turned away. But really, do I know her that well? Sure, we spent so many years together, but... if you get down to it, I always thought more about myself. Or rather, I always believed that she was completely satisfied. And she was always the same to me. The same as just about anything. Even when we are breaking up, as if she wasn't a real person, just my favorite article of clothing. Think about it, I have no idea what's going on in her soul. I just never cared about it. To her behaving like this under the circumstances doesn't seem more bizarre than anything else that's happening to us. And if you think about that talk at the beach 2 evenings ago, she probably really is stronger than me. Hey, are you listening to me at all? Sorry, I got carried away. So much has happened. She looked at me sternly. Let's get going to the camp, or wherever we were, if that's the same old camp. Alright. In fact, it's not like we had any other choice. A few more hours in this scorching heat would only yield more casualties. But we have to carry her along. Yeah, just a sec, let me figure it out. I found 2 fairly long and sturdy sticks in the nearby grove. Coming back, I ordered Ruther to take his shirt off. He tried to object, but soon enough he realized that there was no use in arguing. I took off my shirt as well, and we made a sort of stretcher, attaching the fabric to the poles. Will it hold? Masha gave our device a questioning look, but ultimately gave it a few strong pulls, ensuring its strength, and smiled. It will, at least until we reach the camp. It was hard to go in this heat, but it was even harder to carry the injured, that is, Lena. Several times I almost fainted and barely caught myself halfway to the ground. Ruther felt even worse. Both Masha and Alisa were swapping places with him every now and then. Still, my pride won't allow me to ask them to carry Lena even for a minute. Sure, it's silly to act like this under these circumstances, but I couldn't help myself. This is yet another flaw in my personality, along with coldness, inattentiveness to the others, even my loved ones, and other less than noble traits. Finally, we somehow made it to the camp gates, and I collapsed to the grass in the shadow of the unknown pioneer statue, completely worn out. It actually is our camp. Masha lingered on the words. And indeed, it looks the same. We have to carry her to the cabin. Alisa mentioned quietly. Yeah. I got up with considerable effort and prepared for the last round. The obvious choice was Olga Dmitrievna's cabin. Most likely because we managed to come through the last night here without major problems. At least we are still alive. Me and Ruther were sprawled exhausted on one bed, and the girls were undressing Lena on the other. "Don't look," said Masha sternly. "It's not like there's anything worth looking at." I snorted and turned away, giving Ruther a harsh poke in the ribs, making him follow my lead. "We're gonna get some water, and probably rummage through the canteen too." "It's dangerous to go alone." "Wanna come along?" She grinned. "No thanks, at least take the pipe with you," I said uncertainly. I would go. "Do you really think it will help?" Yes, I sighed heavily and closed my eyes. "Well, be careful then." "Move your ass, man." The door closed after a second. "Just sleep," Ruther whispered reached me, as if one could sleep here. All at once, I heard Lena moan from the other bed. I sat up on my elbows and looked at her. Lena was tossing and turning under her blanket. Suddenly she opened her eyes and abruptly turned to face me. A devil's grin was frozen on her face. The same one I saw yesterday evening. "Hot enough for ya, eh?" She burst into laughter. I felt a shiver run down my spine. My ability to speak vanished. You. "What?" asked Ruther through his sleep. I turned to him sharply. "Look." I waved my hands, pointing at Lena's bed. "What?" He got up and looked where I was pointing first, then back at me. I turned and just saw Lena sleeping peacefully. "Didn't you hear it?" "What?" Her. Lena was awake and said, "It seems like you've got sunstroke too." He turned towards the wall. "But I am absolutely sure that I heard and saw it." Well, it could be true that the heat got to me at last. But it all seems to be exactly like that time. And it wasn't Lena. At the very least, it's not the Lena I knew, as if she's possessed by the devil. Alright, we'll know it about everything in the next episode. Let's end this here and we'll see. Bye.